The great council chamber of the galaxy was filled with light, color, and sound. Thousands of alien leaders sat in their crystal seats, their voices echoing across the shining hall. Every race of the stars had gathered here, tall insect-like rulers, scaled reptilian warlords, soft jelly-like diplomats, and machine lords made of iron and wires. They came from every corner of the galaxy, and today they were united in one thing: laughter. And the reason for their laughter was small, almost forgotten, standing at the very center of the chamber. A human Dutt, the human ambassador, wore a simple dark suit. His hair was neatly combed, his eyes calm. He stood straight, not moving, while all around him the voices of the galaxy mocked his people, humans. One of the lizard generals hissed, his sharp teeth flashing as he laughed. Weak, soft creatures. No claws, no fangs, no armor. A child on my world would eat one alive. A group of insect queens buzzed their wings, their laughter clicking like knives. Their world is nothing, just water and dirt. They break their bones so easily. Their skin burns under the sun. How can such fragile things call themselves a species? Even the machine lords, who rarely showed emotion, joined the mockery. Their iron voices boomed. Humans. Inefficient, poorly designed, weak processors of flesh. How have they even survived this long? The chamber shook with laughter. The sound was cruel, proud, and endless. The human stood in silence. His hand stayed at his side. His eyes did not blink. The council thought he was frozen in fear. One alien diplomat leaned forward and mocked him more. "Tell us, little human, how do you hope to join the galaxy? What can your kind possibly offer us? You are breakable toys. You will never survive beyond your small blue rock." More laughter followed. It echoed like thunder in the chamber. For a moment, it seemed as if the entire galaxy agreed humans were a joke. But the human did not answer. Not yet. He remembered Earth. He remembered the storms that tore down cities, the volcanoes that spit fire into the skies, the earthquakes that shook mountains into dust. He remembered deserts where no water fell for years, jungles where everything crawled and bit, frozen lands where even breathing cut like knives. He remembered creatures, sharks, lions, snakes, bears that hunted humans, yet humans still lived. He remembered the plagues that tried to kill his people, but humanity adapted, fought, and endured. He thought of how children on Earth played in rain that could drown them, climbed rocks that could kill them, ran in heat that could melt others. On Earth, survival was not a game. It was life, and humans had survived it for thousands of years. Still, he stayed quiet as the chamber laughed. Finally, when the noise began to slow, the human lifted his head. His voice was calm. His words were simple. Yet they cut through the hall like a blade. "You laugh at us because you do not understand." The laughter stopped for a moment. Then a few aliens chuckled again, mocking his calm tone. "Oh, and what do we not understand? Fragile one." A warlord sneered. The human's eyes were steady. His words were slow, but each carried weight. "You live on safe worlds. Worlds where the air does not burn, where the water does not kill, where the land does not fight you every single day. But Earth? Earth is different." T paused. The silence in the chamber grew. Earth is not a safe world. Earth is a death world. The laughter broke again, louder this time, but it was mixed with unease. Some aliens frowned. Some leaned closer. The word Deathworld echoed in their minds. Very few planets were given that title. They were rare, dangerous, almost unlivable. To hear a human call his home such a thing was shocking. The ambassador did not smile. He did not raise his voice. He simply whispered, and yet his words carried across the whole council. "You mock us because you see us as weak. But you forget one thing. On Earth, we live with storms that can swallow cities, with predators that can tear us apart, with diseases that try to end us every day. And still we endure. Every child on my world survives trials that would kill your strongest soldiers. Every breath we take is a fight against a world that wants us dead. And still we rise. The silence was heavier now. No laughter followed. The ambassador looked around the chamber. Thousands of alien eyes met his calm gaze. Some were wide with shock. Others narrowed in suspicion. A few shifted in fear. At last, he gave his final words. You laugh at us now. But you have no idea what it means to be human. You have no idea what it means to come from Earth. One day, you will learn. One day, you will see why no one laughs at a death world. And with that, he stepped back, his face unreadable. The chamber was silent. The laughter had died. Only whispers remained, for the first time. The galaxy wondered if they had made a mistake. Asterisk, the council chamber had fallen silent after the human ambassador's words. The laughter was gone, replaced by whispers that spread like wildfire through the galaxy. The word he had spoken, Deathworld, in the minds of rulers, soldiers, and scientists alike. It was not a word used lightly. Deathworlds were legends, cursed planets where even the strongest civilizations refused to settle. For one to exist in the center of a peaceful star system, and for fragile humans to call it home, was unthinkable. The first doubts began among the scientists. They were creatures of logic, not pride, and pride had made the council laugh too soon. After the human speech, they returned to their laboratories and research chambers. They searched the archives, digging up long-ignored data about Earth. A young alien biologist named Viral was among them. Viral belonged to a species that had evolved on a calm, fertile planet where nothing larger than a bird hunted them. His kind were brilliant scholars, but not fighters. Yet, as he read reports about Earth, even his calm hands began to shake. He found records of storms so violent they swallowed entire coastlines. He read about volcanoes that tore holes in the sky, releasing rivers of fire. He studied earthquakes that ripped open cities as if they were toys. He saw that humans built homes, towns, and nations on land that could betray them at any moment. And then there were the creatures. The first time Viral saw the image of a shark, he nearly dropped his datapad. A predator as long as a starship's hallways, with rows of teeth designed only to tear. He watched a recording of a lion hunting, its claws ripping into flesh, its roar shaking the savannah. He read about snakes that could kill with a drop of venom and spiders that hunted with silent patience. He even found the strangest horror-tiny insects that carried death in their bite. Unseen until it was too late, each report ended the same way. Humans live among them. Humans fought, adapted, and survived while surrounded by dangers that would have exterminated most species in a single century. The scientist whispered to himself, "How? How can they endure such a world?" He was not alone in his fear. Across the galaxy, others began to study. Reports spread like whispers in the dark. Soldiers who had laughed now grew uneasy. Commanders muttered in low voices. Diplomats who had mocked humans at the council found themselves speaking of Earth with caution. A reptilian general known for his pride was the first to admit it aloud. If humans are born on a death world, they are not weak. They are forged. Every day they survive trials that would break us. Every human is a soldier, whether they wish it or not. Still, many in the galaxy clung to their pride. They argued that humans were only lucky, that survival did not equal strength. They said Earth was strange, but not special. They said humans would crumble in real war. But fear grew in secret. The whispers of Earth traveled from fleet to fleet, from palace to palace. They spread across markets, outposts, and academies. And in those whispers, one word always returned: Deathworlders. The human ambassador had returned to his ship by then. He spoke nothing more, but he didn't have to. His silence became more powerful than words. The galaxy filled in the silence with its own imagination. And imagination was often far worse than truth. Viral, the scientist, could not rest. Night after night, he read more about Earth. He studied diseases that wiped out millions, only for humans to rise again. He studied famines, droughts, and frozen winters that should have ended them, yet humanity endured. He read about endless wars where humans fought each other with fire, metal, and machines, yet always returned stronger than before. The deeper he looked, the colder his blood ran. He realized something terrible. Humans were not just survivors. They were shaped by constant struggle. Where other species avoided danger, humans grew in it. Where others fled, humans fought. Where others fell, humans adapted. They had not just survived Earth, they had been sharpened by it, like a blade against stone. Viral closed his datapad and whispered into the empty room. If this is true, then the galaxy is not laughing at prey. It is laughing at predators. And he was not the only one thinking such thoughts. A meeting of military leaders was held in secret. They spoke in hushed voices, afraid of their own words. If humans can survive storms that split mountains, what happens when they stand on a battlefield? One asked, if children of Earth grow strong in such chaos, what kind of warriors will their armies produce? Another muttered, for the first time. Fear touched the voices of those who once mocked. But fear was not the only thing spreading. Curiosity began to grow too. Some species wanted to test humanity, to measure if the whispers were true. Others wanted to control them, to use them as weapons. And a few, the wisest among them, whispered of something else: respect. Still, the majority did not believe fully. They needed proof. And proof, they decided, would come in trials. The galaxy that once laughed at humans was now preparing to watch them, to study them. To test them, the whispers of Earth had begun. And soon, the galaxy would learn what it truly meant to be born of a death world. The whispers about Earth grew into stories. The stories grew into fear. And fear soon pushed the galaxy to demand proof. Reports of storms and diseases were strange enough. But what truly unsettled the council were the creatures that lived beside humans. At first, they dismissed the records. They thought the images were lies, exaggerated tales made to frighten children. But when the research was confirmed by many worlds, the galaxy stared in disbelief. Earth was alive. Not alive in the gentle way most planets were, filled with harmless animals and balanced nature. No, Earth was alive with monsters. The council gathered again, this time not to laugh, but to watch. On massive crystal screens, alien scientists displayed recordings of Earth's creatures. The chamber was packed with rulers, soldiers, and scholars. Even those who had mocked the loudest leaned forward in silence. The first image shown was of the ocean. A dark, endless sea rolled across the screen. Suddenly, a shape appeared. A massive shark surged from the water, its mouth wide, rows of teeth gleaming. It tore into its prey, dragging it down into the deep. Gasps filled the chamber. Some alien leaders recoiled, their bodies twitching with instinctive fear. One insect queen hissed, That thing is real." The scientist nodded. "This predator is common. Humans swim in the same oceans." The silence deepened. The next image showed lions hunting across golden plains. Their speed was shocking. Their roars thundered through the chamber as they leaped onto prey many times their size. Their claws ripped, their jaws crushed. An iron-bodied machine, Lord muttered. Such beasts should not exist on a world with intelligent life. They should have been wiped out long ago. The human ambassador, who sat quietly in the corner, finally spoke. His voice was calm, almost bored. Yet they live, and so do we. The council shifted uneasily. More images followed. A crocodile wading silently under murky water, its eyes like death itself, before exploding upward to drag an animal beneath the surface. A snake coiling around its victim with slow, merciless power until the bones cracked. A tiny spider biting once, and a strong man falling in agony. Each display was worse than the last. The galaxy's bravest warlords shifted in their seats. Some looked away. Others clenched their weapons, as if they feared the creatures might crawl from the screen. But the worst was still to come. The scientist cleared his throat. There are even smaller creatures, he said, that strike terror in humans. Some are so small they cannot be seen without magnification. He showed images of mosquitoes, tiny insects, harmless in appearance, yet carrying diseases that could kill millions. Plagues that had shaped human history. Even the smallest bite was dangerous. Laughter did not return. Instead, a cold silence hung in the chamber. The galaxy realized something horrifying. Humans were not only living beside these monsters, they were thriving despite them. One reptilian general whispered, "If they grow strong among such horrors, then what are they becoming?" Another added, "Every day on Earth is a trial. For a child to reach adulthood there, it is a warrior's path." The human ambassador remained silent. He did not need to speak. The evidence spoke louder than words. Then came the final recording. A storm over the ocean. Waves taller than mountains smashed ships apart. Lightning split the skies. Winds howled with the power of gods. And in the middle of it, humans clung to their vessels, refusing to surrender. The chamber trembled with the sound. Many aliens lowered their heads. For the first time, they did not see humans as fragile. They saw them as impossible. The lead scientist finally said the words that no one wanted to hear. By every measure, Earth is not a normal planet. It is a death world. And humans are not weak. They are the children of that world. Whispers filled the air again, but they were no longer mocking. They were fearful, cautious, uncertain. If they can survive there, what will they do out here? One diplomat asked, "If they can endure monsters, storms, and plagues, then no war will break them." Another replied. The human ambassador stood. He looked at the council, his expression calm but unreadable. His final words froze every heart in the chamber. "You have seen only pieces of my world. You call them creatures that should not exist. But they do exist. And every human carries their shadow inside. We are survivors not in spite of them, but because of them. Remember this next time you call us weak." The chamber remained silent long after he left, for the first time in history. The galaxy looked at humans not as prey, not as toys, but as something far more dangerous. Something forged by a world of monsters. Something to fear. The galaxy was restless. After seeing the monsters of Earth, fear and curiosity battled inside the minds of rulers and generals. The council could not agree. Some wanted to ban humans from ever leaving their world. Others wanted to recruit them to use their toughness as weapons. But most wanted proof that humans were as dangerous as the whispers claimed. So, a plan was made. The Galactic Council announced that humanity would be invited to take part in survival trials. These trials were designed to measure endurance, strength, and adaptability. They were not games. They were brutal tests made on neutral planets, places so harsh that most species never dared to visit. For centuries, the trials had been used to train only the strongest warriors of the galaxy. Now, for the first time, humans would face them. Many expected failure. Some whispered that the humans had exaggerated their stories. Others hoped the humans would die in the trials so the fear of Earth could be silenced. But when the announcement reached Earth, the answer from humanity was simple: we accept. And so, the trials began. The first test took place on a desert planet. The air shimmered with heat. The sand stretched endlessly, hiding venomous creatures below. Many alien teams stepped onto the burning ground with advanced suits, cooling systems, and protective armor. The human team wore little more than basic gear, their faces uncovered. The race began. Within hours, alien teams collapsed. Their water reserves ran dry, their machines overheated, their skin blistered under the burning twin suns. But the humans, they moved steadily, conserving their water, covering their heads with cloth, pacing themselves. They walked like they had done this before. One alien captain gasped in disbelief. How are they still moving? A human woman overheard and smiled faintly. We come from deserts too. By the time the trial ended, only the humans had crossed the finish line. The others lay scattered in the sand, begging for rescue. The second test was held in frozen mountains. The wind screamed like a living beast, and the cold cut through metal as if it were nothing. Alien soldiers wrapped themselves in thermal armor, but still shivered, still fell to frostbite. The humans built fires. They huddled close. They cut branches, shaped shelters, and kept moving. When one alien warlord asked how they could endure the endless blizzards, the human team leader simply said, "On our world. This is called winter." Gasps rippled through the watchers. The third trial was meant to break them completely. The contestants were released into a jungle filled with strange, deadly beasts. Venom dripped from the fangs of creatures that lurked in the trees. Plants snapped shut like traps. The ground crawled with hidden dangers. Most teams panicked. They fired their weapons wildly, wasted their energy, and were dragged down by the predators. The humans did something else. They watched. They listened. They studied. When a beast charged them, the humans didn't just fight, they adapted. They set traps with vines, sharpened sticks into weapons, and used the jungle against the monsters. Slowly, carefully, they turned the death trap into a battlefield of their own making. By the end of the trial, the humans stood alive, bruised but smiling. Around them lay the fallen bodies of creatures twice their size. The council chamber watching the broadcast fell silent once more. It was not just survival. It was mastery. Whispers spread again. This time, they were no longer mocking. They carried fear and awe. A reptilian general muttered under his breath, "They treat these trials as if they are everyday life." And he was right. To humans, deserts, storms, mountains, jungles all were familiar. They had grown up with danger as a teacher. Where others saw death, humans saw challenges. Where others surrendered, humans endured. When the last trial ended, only one team remained standing. The humans, the council, could not deny it anymore. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was something else entirely. In the shadows of the chamber, one warlord clenched his fists. If they can do this with so little, what happens when they have armies? When they bring their Deathworld strength into the stars? No one answered him. But everyone thought the same thing. The laughter of the galaxy had ended. In its place was fear. And soon, fear would turn into something even more dangerous: respect. The trials were over, but the galaxy did not forget what it had seen. For centuries, the survival tests had broken the strongest of warriors, yet the humans had passed them all. Not only passed, they had dominated. They walked through heat, endured cold, and fought predators as if it were nothing new. And that was the most terrifying part to humans. It wasn't new. Word spread across the stars faster than light. In markets, in military stations, in hidden cantinas. Aliens whispered about the species from Earth. At first, the whispers were quiet, spoken with disbelief. But as stories spread, so did fear. They crossed a fire deserts without machines, said one merchant. They fought the jungle beasts with sticks and won, muttered a mercenary. They laughed in the snowstorms and called it winter, whispered a frightened scholar. The galaxy had many names for strong species warlords, conquerors, hunters. But now, a new name began to spread in every corner. Deathworlders. For most species, the word was a curse. Deathworlds were avoided, marked as forbidden. No sane being would live on such a planet. But the humans had not only lived there, they had been forged by it. That thought spread unease like a poison through every empire. Armies whispered among themselves. Soldiers who once mocked humans now avoided them in training halls. Mercenaries, who laughed at their fragile bodies, now refused contracts that involved fighting them. Even the great warlords, proud and arrogant, hesitated when the word human was spoken. One reptilian general, who had once mocked the ambassador openly, now admitted to his officers in private, "I will not send my soldiers against them. They are not prey. They are predators hidden in plain sight." The galaxy's rulers felt the shift too. Diplomatic envoys reported that planets were whispering of human danger. Some suggested striking Earth quickly before the Deathworlders grew too strong. Others argued it was already too late, but most simply feared. The human ambassador, who had returned to Earth after the trials, did not speak much. His silence only fed the mystery. The galaxy filled the silence with imagination, and imagination was always worse than truth. In the dark halls of power, debates grew fierce. One counselor slammed his claws on the table. If they can survive such trials, then war will only make them stronger. Strike now. Another counselor hissed in reply, "Strike against a people who live on storms, plagues, and monsters. If Earth itself cannot kill them, what chance do we have?" And so the galaxy split between those who wanted war and those who wanted peace. But neither side could erase the truth. Humans were dangerous. Across the stars, old rivalries began to change. Empires that hated each other now found a new, common fear. Mercenary guilds rewrote their contracts, adding one line at the bottom, "No human targets accepted." Traders adjusted their routes, avoiding Earth space. Some even whispered that human ships should be given passage without challenge, for who would risk angering a Deathworlder? In the shadows, a different conversation grew. A few warlords whispered of recruiting humans into their armies, using their strength for conquest. Others dreamed of studying their bodies, unlocking the secrets of their resilience. And a rare few whispered of alliance, believing that respect, not fear, was the only safe path forward. But the fear was stronger than reason. On one distant world, a group of alien soldiers gathered in a tavern. They spoke in low voices, their drinks untouched. "I saw one of them fight," said a scarred veteran. "The jungle beasts ripped through my squad. But the human, he just kept fighting. Bleeding, broken, but still fighting. He wouldn't stop. He looked like death itself." Another soldier shivered. "They don't fight to win. They fight to survive. And survival is harder than winning." The room fell silent at those words. Back in the council chambers, the human ambassador finally returned. He entered the hall quietly, his steps calm, his face unreadable. Every eye turned to him. Once they had laughed. Now no one dared. He did not smile. He did not raise his voice. He simply looked at them and said, "We never asked for your trials, but you gave them to us. Now you know the truth. Earth does not make weaklings. It makes survivors. And survivors are harder to kill than warriors." The chamber stayed silent. No one laughed. No one mocked. When he left, the whispers began again. But they were no longer jokes. They were warnings. The humans are Deathworlders. The humans are predators. The humans are coming. And for the first time, the galaxy looked at its newest species not with arrogance, not with mockery, but with fear. The laughter was gone. Respect and dread had taken its place. Asterisk, the galaxy had begun to whisper in fear. But fear alone never stopped the arrogant. In every age, there were rulers who believed themselves invincible, empires too proud to listen to warnings. And so, when one galactic empire grew restless, its warlords made a decision that would change history. We will conquer Earth, they declared. If humans are strong, we will break them. If they are weak, we will erase their legend before it grows. Their fleets were vast shining ships armed with plasma cannons, carrying soldiers bred for battle. Entire worlds trembled at the sight of those banners. They believed the conquest of Earth would be swift, easy, a lesson to the galaxy that humans were not predators, but prey. They were wrong. The invasion began on a stormy night. Warships filled the skies over Earth, blotting out the stars. There, soldiers descended in fire, landing across forests, mountains, and cities. The invaders expected panic. They expected surrender. Instead, they found resistance. From the very first moment, Earth itself fought back. The fleets above were struck by lightning storms that tore through shields. Hurricanes rose suddenly, scattering landing craft like leaves in the wind. In the jungles, poisonous plants and venomous insects attacked soldiers who had never seen such threats. Diseases spread among their ranks within days. Illnesses their medicine could not cure. The galaxy watched in horror as broadcasts leaked from the battlefield. A squad of alien soldiers marched through a forest, only to be ambushed not by humans, but by wolves' silent shadows tearing into their lines. Another platoon marched across plains, only to be swallowed by a sudden tornado that ripped their machines apart. In the swamps, crocodiles dragged them screaming into the depths. And in every place, when the survivors thought they had escaped the world's dangers, the humans came. The invaders expected civilians to run. But humans did not run. Farmers armed themselves with hunting rifles. Workers fought with tools. Old men and women hurled Molotov fire at armored walkers. Children carried supplies through storms, their faces hard with determination. The soldiers of Earth-trained armies of every nation moved with speed and fury. They did not fight in neat lines like other species. They fought in chaos ambushes, traps, sabotage. They struck at night, at dawn, in storms, in silence, and they never stopped. One alien commander reported, voice shaking, "We shoot them, but they keep coming. We burn their cities, and they fight from the ashes. They do not fear death, they expect it. They fight as if survival itself is their weapon." Within weeks, the great empire's proud fleets were shattered. Their soldiers begged for evacuation, but Earth gave them no mercy. The storms, the predators. The plagues and the humans broke them completely. The last transmission from the invaders chilled the galaxy. A warlord's voice, once proud and mocking, now screamed in desperation, "Do not come here. Do not fight." Them, Earth is alive, it wants us dead. And the humans are worse than the storms. Then the signal cut off. The fleet was gone. When the war ended, Earth stood scarred but unbroken. Cities smoldered, but their people walked the streets again, rebuilding. Fields burned, but new seeds were already being planted. The humans did not celebrate. They did not boast. They simply endured, as they always had. But the galaxy had seen, for the first time, an empire that had crushed countless worlds had been defeated and not by superior technology, not by overwhelming numbers, but by humans, by Deathworlders. Fear spread like wildfire. Humans could do this with so little. What would happen when they expanded? When they built fleets, colonies, and armies to match the galaxy's strongest. In every palace, rulers trembled. In every barracks, soldiers whispered. They are not just survivors, one general admitted. They are victory itself, shaped by struggle. To fight them is to fight the world that forged them. The human ambassador appeared once more at the council. He did not wear armor. He carried no weapon. He spoke in calm, simple words that silenced the chamber. You thought Earth would break, but Earth broke you. You thought humans were weak, but we are children of storms and fire. And if you come again, you will learn that the first victory was not luck. It is what we are. The galaxy did not laugh. It did not argue. It only listened. For now, Earth was safe. But in every corner of the stars, one question spread like a shadow. What happens when the Deathworlders decide to leave their world behind? The invasion of Earth had ended in disaster for the invaders. Their fleets lay in ruins, their soldiers scattered or dead, their warlords humiliated. The galaxy had watched it all, and the whispers had turned into silence. No one laughed at humans anymore, but fear was not the only thing growing. Something else began to spread. Respect. At first, it was quiet. A mercenary guild announced that no human contracts would be accepted, not because they feared them, but because, as one leader said, we will not dishonor ourselves by raising arms against Deathworlders on distant trade stations. Merchants who once mocked humans now bowed slightly when they passed. Captains gave human ships free passage, no tolls, no demands. Even pirates grew cautious, whispering that robbing humans was not worth the risk. Soon, respect reached the highest levels of power. The Galactic Council called for another meeting. Every empire attended. Every throne sent representatives. And when the doors opened, the humans entered. The ambassador walked calmly, his steps steady, his face unreadable. Behind him, other humans followed: soldiers, scientists, civilians. They wore no armor, no weapons, yet the air around them felt heavier than any warlord's army. The chamber was silent. Where once there had been laughter, now there was awe. Thousands of alien eyes followed the humans as they took their seats at the center of the hall. For a long time, no one spoke. Then, at last, a counselor rose. He was from a species that once mocked the loudest. His voice trembled as he said, We welcome the humans of Earth. We recognize their place among us." Others followed. Leaders of great empires spoke words they had never spoken to any young species before: respect, honor, equality. Finally, the human ambassador stood. He looked around the vast chamber, his calm gaze sweeping across rulers and warlords, merchants and generals. His voice was steady, carrying across the silence. "We did not come here for conquest. We did not ask for trials. We did not seek war. But when we were mocked, we endured. When we were tested, we survived. When we were attacked, we fought hand. We won." The chamber listened, every word striking deep. "Now you know the truth of Earth. It is not paradise. It is not gentle. It is a death world. Every storm, every beast, every fire has tried to destroy us, but we are still here. We will always be here. Because humans do not break, we endure." The ambassador paused, letting the silence grow heavy. Then he added, "We are not your enemies. But we are not weaklings to be mocked. Respect us, and we will stand beside you. Threaten us, and you will remember why no one survives a death world unbroken." The words struck like thunder. For the first time in galactic history, the council applauded not out of formality, but out of genuine respect. The sound was not laughter, was recognition. Whispers spread again. But now they carried different tones. Deathworlders, but allies, do not cross them. Stand with them. Humans are dangerous, but they are ours now. Across the galaxy, everything changed. Fleets no longer dismissed Earth. Traders sought human goods. Academies studied human history, trying to understand how a fragile-looking species had risen so far. Even warlords, once proud and arrogant, trained their soldiers using lessons from Earth: endurance, adaptation, survival, in time. Humans were not only respected, they were feared and admired, both at once. The galaxy had seen their fury, but also their resilience. They had learned that humanity's greatest weapon was not claws or armor or machines. It was the simple refusal to give up. Back on Earth, people rebuilt their cities, planted their fields, and looked to the stars. They did not see themselves as conquerors. They were just humans, living as they always had, struggling, surviving, enduring. But beyond the sky, the galaxy now saw them as something more. One alien scholar wrote the words that spread: "Cross 1,000 worlds. The galaxy once laughed at humans. Now it bows its head. For who can laugh at children of a death world?" And deep in the council chambers, after all the applause, after all the speeches, an old warlord whispered to himself, "If this is how strong they are at the beginning, what will they become in 1,000 years?" No one answered, but the thought lingered. The laughter was gone forever. In its place stood respect that could not be broken, because it had been forged in fire, storm, and blood, and in the endless galaxy. One truth spread like light across the stars: humanity was no longer the joke of the universe. Humanity was the warning.